Well, hello everyone and welcome back. We are getting there. It is like so close. Got it weathered, did a wash on it, and then went through with some black pastels and did some more of the little panel seams all over the place. Everything's looking good. Even the little bubbling that was on here kind of settled down and kind of gives it that old paint look, the ones that are still there. But once you hit it with a wash and then I hit it with a matte clear, you don't see all that. These guys stuck down really well. I mean, it's really got to that detail. There's a little bubble going between that one and the little tiny detail, but really you can't see it, especially now that it has a wash in there. What else? We got, I got this part of the 3D print down. This I'm gonna just glue down, so I do have to, because of this 3D printed canopy, it's not stretched out as much, which could be just the 3D print just a little shorter, or maybe it's designed for the Mobius and the Mobius is a little more narrow. But the canopy that came with it had a little bit of a down, like this bottom edge. If you sit on a flat thing, it's completely flat. There's no, but on the actual canopy that comes with a kit, it kind of comes down and then goes up. So it would sit kind of like that. So the way to rectify that is you actually got to pull that canopy out like that. And then I'll just glue it, instead of having it being able to be raised. Unless I set it up as raised, as a raised canopy, and you never know. But then that would be like in a landing position, and I kind of have her in flight. Right now she's just sitting on her base, and I have the wires going through the hole, but she's going to sit up a little higher, about yay high. And then the base I didn't do on camera. It's just my usual base. I don't spend a whole lot unless I'm building a diorama. I just kind of something for them to be on. I can always change them out so I don't go crazy. I just did that gel stain that you can see the wood finish through on the top. I might give it some more, I don't know, I might give this a gloss coat. A little more of a gloss coat. This is just a satin. And then on the edges I did the galvanized tin and the copper just to give some type of color there. But it's coming out good. I had to drill 3 holes for the, I wonder if I can get this off here, because I'm going to have to work on them anyway. I was doing a light test. Oh, I guess while I have it here, we'll turn the lights on before we disconnect her. But everything's working. I don't have that on tight. It's got to snap over the rings. But it's extremely tight fit, so I'm not going to do it again until it's its final seating, which is going to be here soon. But the cockpit is lighting up really nice. It's going to be hard to see on camera, and I won't be able to tilt it, but you can at least see that it's glowing. And then the engines are going pretty good, but I think I'm going to put a clear film in here to draw more of the light out to the edges, because it's kind of very singularly more in the middle. So I'm going to figure out something there to make that look a little better. But that's easy because this still comes off. And boy, that gives a lot of weight to the back end. I'm going to have to push this back a little further because she went boom. And this is a pretty heavy 3D print. You can see the styrene I did in here to close off those edges. I'm just going to get a clear part and get it to fit, make it fit this diameter, and then drill out the center and have it slide in. That way the light from the bulbs line right up with the center, so those can still jet out, but I want a little more draw to these outer spokes. And I'll try a couple things, see if it looks good with a solid piece all the way across, because I can do that, which would be okay too. But I'm thinking for the purpose of getting a lot of light still to project out, because you remember these, when they boosted, you see that big stream of light. I kind of like that unprotected thing. So I'll try a couple things. I'll see what it looks like with completely closed off in a clear plastic, which then I'll scuff. I'll either scuff or lightly hit with a little white paint from the airbrush. And I think I might even put a little blue on the very outer edges. A little transparent blue, just to give it a little blue more. But the nice thing about these cool whites is they kind of have a blue tint to them anyway. Like even on camera, that kind of has a bluish tint to it. So like if this was something that was actually going to be filmed, I wouldn't even worry about adding blue to it, because the camera, it actually makes it look blue. And then this back piece, this is coming out pretty good. This has got to come a little more forward, the upper one. But so that is that. So let's turn this off and get her off here. I can show you the base a little better and talk about it, because I have her just temporarily going through there. And I have the guy all painted up. He was fairly simple. He's painted up and actually glued in there. As far as colors, I actually mixed like a desert tan, I think, and a brown to get the pants and the undershirt. I think the jacket, I used a dark brown and like a wine red, because their jackets aren't completely brown. They have a little bit of a maroon tint to them. So I mixed that color up. And then this is just a Tester's enamel gold. I was thinking about using my gold marker, but I think that would be almost too plated gold, and their helmets aren't like a plated gold. It doesn't look like a painted gold. So I think that represents it pretty well. And just me handling it, and I didn't have to clear coat it because I wanted his clothes to be more of a satin kind of sheen to it. But I wanted the helmet to have a little more shine to it. So he came out really good. Oh, I did have, doing a panel line here, this one decal chipped, but I just made that work with the, as a damage thing. I still might go through with the airbrush and a little German gray and give some little, and a little blast sprays off the wings and some areas. But I don't want to go too much more. Their ships weren't heavily damaged. Weathered, but not as much as damage hits on it. But I did get this part of the 3D print down. I had to grind some stuff back here to make it fit well, and then find out where, by having that on there, where it needed to be. And pretty much needs to be exactly where it's supposed to be. It's like a hair back from the opening here, and that gives me the positions where these points fall. So when I spread them out, you can do it just by pushing. But I'll just actually, this edge I can just line up and glue, and then pull that up and glue. And just keep an eye on, make sure the center piece looks good. Maybe I'll tack that first and then pull the sides out. But I can't complain. There's the underside. Had some chipping in the there. That actual whole corner like completely disintegrated, and the pieces that are missing broke into so many fine pieces I couldn't even put it back together. I'm just like, we're just gonna make it part of the weathering. But all, and there was a little chip outs there, but all that kind of adds to the wear and tear on it. It really shrunk down there. You can see the detail there and there. I don't know if they're mold releases or what, because it's here, there, and there as well. There, one there, but the decal sunk down so well you can still see it, and that's great. Sometimes these older decals will amaze you. They may be brittle, but they'll sink down over things. Like, because I was like, really, you're making that stripe go over that big old detail there? And it did pretty good, I do have to say, especially in here too. So no complaints for what, 1997, I think those were. But okay, here's the base. Like I said, it's just a simple... You get these at Hobby Lobbies. They're plaques for like hanging things on the wall. I routed my... What I first did is used a real tiny bit to get my centers. And then I used one of my step drills to actually drill the holes. And then here's the way these kind of fall. And I wanted this... I could probably get that one to sink in a little better. That one's sinking in good. The front one is. I could probably do a little more filing at an angle so that this angle fits down into the hole a little better. And then we'll touch up any chip outs there. Plus, I think I'm going to use an epoxy, like a JB weld, to help tie those down. Between that and then the wires, it should hold. You know, it might not be a good idea to flip this thing completely up down, but that JB weld really will hold good. It's the only way you can really, you know, I couldn't think of too many other ways to get this to be able to sit on anything when its footprint is like, you know, it's so tiny. You know, if it was just sitting on something like that. So I figured the best way would be just to drill those tips in a little bit. And if I put a little, you know, I think if I get some JB weld down there and just stick it in there, and then I can either touch it up with some black paint. It's already black, the steel version of the JB weld. It's already black anyway, to a, you know, a dark gray. But if not, I can hit it with some black paint or tulip if the JB weld settles. And that'll look fine. And then we'll have the wires come out these two ends, and I have holes all the way down through that come out here. And then they'll come over to the jack, which I already have stuck in there. It's just temporarily stuck in there. And like I said, I just hit a nickel. I don't mind these bases being a little rough. You know, I could take the time and really sand the heck out of them. I mean, they're very raw, so just the moisture in the air is causing, like, where they routed this fancy edge on these two ends because of the grain. It'll swell. Like I said, I like my bases to look kind of rough. The focal point is this. I don't really care to make my bases more elaborate than the model. Some look cool. Like you got a big 350 Enterprise refit, and some people do those beautiful lit bases that kind of look like the panels, especially if you get in like the next gen stuff. And that looks cool, but some of those bases cost more than the model, and I'm working on a budget, so. But that's what I did to get that down there. Was just, I used the tiny drill bit to get my centers, and then drilled all the way through for these so the wires can come through. But this one, well, this one I think it drilled all the way through too. Needs to be filed a little. So I'm using a file that's flat on one edge and has the slight curve on this. So I can kind of just come in here and give a little more. It's hard to file because you don't have much of a hole to move back and forth. And that helps that foot because of the angle of it entering the hole. If it was coming straight down like that, it'd be no problem. But since they're coming in at an angle, but at least it can't go anywhere on here. I think the JB weld will hold this because the ship is really not heavy at all. And then you're also going to have wires on these 2 points that are going to be secured on the bottom of the base, so it won't allow that to lift up. Anyway, I think all those together will be fine. And like I said, I'm not going to be sitting here flipping my models upside down and just letting them. I would always have a hand on it, you know. Anyway, and then we'll do a felt bottom, and you'll never see all that. But I think that works. I might, but like I said, I might actually go for a clear, more of a gloss coat on this base. A lot of times I like to keep them in a satin. where it has a little sheen. Or maybe I'll do I think at first I might try another satin coat. I think that might be all. It just absorbed in really well. But that's where we're at. All I have to do here is I'm going to start taking magnet wire and attaching it to this jack and bring it up through. Actually, I might put it in here first and get it all glued under here and then get it all painted black so it's all dark under here once I get the wires tacked through. And hopefully they will make it past those feet. Yeah. But normally I wire them like this, where this just goes down in a tube and into there, and we go that way, which it practically could. But I think the magnet wire might be a little thinner. I don't know. I probably could get away with this, since I already have it all attached. The only thing I already went through, I had some light leaking inside here because they never closed off the bottom part. So I just stuck some of that, kind of like what I did with the Cylon. I took a black staging tape, which is pretty much looks like a black duct tape, but this is what we call staging tape for taping mic cables and anything down on the stage, and it's black so you won't see it. I just put some of that back there. I had a little bit of light leak coming out behind his chair and glowing there, so you could kind of see it there. I blocked all that off. We're only back in the engines. We got a little there where I went a little crazy with my Dremel tool, making these narrower to fit in those. I somehow got back a little too far. I was only supposed to go to where these end. So I stuck a little pre-putty there, perfect plastic putty. Then once I get this glued on, then I can dab a little more in there. And perfect plastic putty is great because it's water soluble. I can just go in there with a wet Q-tip and smooth it out, and then hit it with a wash, and you'll never know. But I'm wondering if these wires here, can I get them? Can I get them through the holes that I drilled? Because I drilled it for magnet wire. Yep, it comes through. So we know it'll go through the hole I have drilled in the base. How well will all this hide in here? I guess not much more different than the magnet wire would. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with just take these out and keep these as test wires. I can pop this back out. I really don't need to pop it out, but I can pop it back out. And then we'll paint it black, even if it's just a quick hand brush paint job. But that's where we're at. I'm going to keep trucking. I'm going to work on getting the wire through this. Get another clear on the bottom of the base, and then start working on what I want to do as far as clear parts for this. And I think I got a big clear piece of plastic tub that you get those little cheese balls and those big, I think it might be Utz, comes in a big tub. I keep those because that clear plastic you can use for anything, and you can even heat it up so you can it'll lay flat, but it's a big enough tub that the arc is very small on it. I can get it to glue in there. But I think that's how I want to do it. I don't think I want to. I don't know if I want to cover the whole thing. I want to see what it looks like with just the outer edge. But that's where we're at. Until next time. See you soon.